Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad and this one black man's opinion. Tonight, I want to just take a brief moment to express my deepest condolence and offer prayers for my brother, my friend, Gerry Monroe, for his family, for his sister, for his daughter, for all who loved him and respected him, and those who feared him. I want to offer again my condolences. You know, Brother Gerry was a man that I really admired. And on many occasions, he would tell you and tell the audience how much he admired me. He said, because I never judged him. And that's true. I never judged our brother because I'm not the judge. I'm just his brother. But that's not to say that I didn't try to guide him in some of the things that he did and how he did it. But I had to respect the man for his passion, for what God put in his heart, for what circumstances and conditions and time has made him. You know, brothers and sisters, sometimes we pray for deliverers. We pray for messianic figures. We pray for those who are going to fight for us. And then when they come, we'll be the first ones to say, I didn't send for you. Such a man was Gerry Monroe, Gerry Monroe. He showed up because you called him and we called him into existence. And if you notice the timing of his ascendancy in the public eye is at a time when the school system, the largest school system in Texas, Houston Independent School District, was taken over by the Texas Education Agency as part of a bigger fight with the state against this county and this city. He's a man who did not like phony people, especially those that held public office. You know, brothers and sisters, aren't you and I tired of sending black people down to be the representative of the black community to white America, and then they come back to be the white America's representative to the black community? Aren't we tired of that? Certainly we are. Well, that was Gerry Monroe. Was he sometimes over the edge? Yes, many times. But I can tell you this, you wouldn't find a more sincere man and passionate in what it is that he believed. See, a lot of us are wishy-washy, man. We put our finger up to the wind to see which way the wind would blow, and then we take our direction from that. That wasn't Gerry Monroe. That wasn't Gerry Monroe. That wasn't him. He was a man that was unapologetically black, yet was universal, particularly as it related to the educational process. He didn't care about your creed, your class, your color when it came to education. He wanted everyone treated fairly because them tax dollars come out of all of our pockets, not just property owners. Those of you who are renting, you pay property taxes too. You just pay it through your landlord. You pay insurance, you pay all of that. So you have as much voice in those things that the elite property class people think that they have. What he fought for was for equity, the appropriate distribution of benefits and burdens within and across generations. He knew that if the educational system, the torchlight of the educational system went out, then this civilization as we know it will go out. Who's a proud Jack Yates Lion, part of the 1985 undefeated team that beat Odessa Permian unmercifully. You know that movie Friday Night Lights? Well, they should have made one about Jack Yates High School 1985 team. They put out them lights on Friday night. My brother left us, and I really was lost for words. It's taken me a few days just to even think about saying anything publicly about him other than posting a few things in social media. But I wanted to say and put some things on the record should God call me home. No, none of us know when our time will come. So sometimes we got to say what we got to say when we got to say it. And let me say it, I love this brother. And I don't care who didn't like him. And there are people who know. We worked together. We went into the schools. We held public gatherings to work on no more bloodshed and stop the violence. I see my sister Calandria Simpson Kemp, who lost her son to gun violence. She's one of those angel mothers who help other grieving mothers who have lost their children to gang violence or gun violence. But we used to go around to the schools, along with Reginald Gordon, OG1, Sister Cliche from Artists Respecting Community, Kay Reno, myself, Gerry Monroe. There would be others that would go. We'd go around these schools doing what these violence intervention specialists that they set up these $1 million programs for. We were way ahead of that and never got a dime. In fact, Gerry inspired me to write up our work that we did under the banner of United in Peace, or One Houston, One Hood. 21-page program. And unfortunately, I gave it to the very people in the county who took it, got it funded, and didn't offer us a dime. Well, I can't really say that. They did offer us a dime, but that's about it. It's a shame that the people that did the work, we went around to the high schools. We talked to all of the malcontents, the miscreants, the gangsters, the hustlers in the schools. And they were like receptive to what we were telling them because they knew we loved them and we kept it 100. And it really was a great experience in us touring all of these schools, these high schools and middle schools. I mean, I can recall so many different things that Brother Monroe was a part of. I think that we never got any of our programs funded because of our association with him. He angered so many political people that they decided, well, we're going to punish whomever is associated or affiliated with them. They would never tell me that to my face because they know I would say something. But I think that's at the root of it. He offended many people because they needed to be offended. They weren't doing the work. They were looking out for themselves in their small circle. And so he called it like he saw it. Many people didn't understand why he dealt with the Republican Party. What's wrong with you? 100 years ago, we was all Republicans. I don't agree with their governing philosophy at all. But he was so sick of what was going on in the Democratic Party, he saw it like many called it, a plantation. And we've been used over and over again. And as many of the headlines are reading today, as Biden announces his 2024 election re-election campaign, many black people saying, and, you know, fighting for LGBTQ rights, fighting against anti-Semitism, fighting against anti-Asian hate. Black people with reparations don't even get a conversation. So once again, we're going to be called upon to do what Gerry screamed and hollered about us. Wait a minute. We need to take another look at this whole political process. As I come on his 5-star general show, and I was always talking about a black agenda. What is our black agenda? Do we have a unapologetically black agenda? What is our public policy positions? And are they known among our masses of our people? So I see my brother Smokey Phillips, a man in law enforcement, man, that I respect and I love. Because regardless of a person's political point of view, when they came to this city, the constables in Precinct 7 would make sure, from A.B. Chambers all the way up through May Walker, would make sure that those dignitaries, particularly black dignitaries, were escorted, protected, and watched over. So I love and respect them for that. And Smokey says that me and G. Monroe would fuss and argue about different things from law enforcement to him lashing out about my friends, but we both respected each other. The 5-star would say things many of us would be afraid to say, but that made Monroe. I just can't, I can just visualize Monroe debating with the angels. Rest well. Yeah. He'd be giving them he'd be giving them the business, Smokey. I can see it right now. Giving them the business, man. You know, because he wanted to be fair. He would fight for he would fight for white people in the educational system as much as he would fight for black and Hispanic children. He would fight for administrators that were doing what was right. When it came to education, he was as universal as anybody. But the thing about him, what I loved about him was he remained unapologetically black. How can you be unapologetically black and be among those Republicans, one would say? You don't have to sell out. He didn't sell out. He was drawn out. In one sense, we kicked him out. Those who were in the other party. You know, for me, if we don't wake up and see the unraveling of this nation, the partisanship, Mr. Farrakhan said, will be the death of this country. We don't see what's happening with the banks. We don't see what's happening with the weather. We don't see what's happening in the racial divide, the wealth divide, the failure of the banking system. We don't see that America may default on its debt. We don't see the countries around the world called the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, coming together and say they're going to create their own currency and get off the dollar. And when the dollar is no longer the reserve currency of the world, meaning the currency that everybody does business with in the world, people are going to use their own currency. That's the death of the dollar, and that will watch this economy crash. Then what you going to do? What are we going to do? He fought against food deserts. You think that there's food deserts in our community is some kind of just the way it happens? You think our schools failing in our communities is just something that happened? You think our community being over-policed, our people being more harshly prosecuted, giving longer sentences for the same crimes, you think that that's, oh, well, just, gosh darn, it's just a coincidence. What's wrong with you? See, Monroe he'd be cursing you out right now. He'd be lighting up a cigarette and cursing you out right now. I can't do that as a representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but I want you to feel me right now. Enough already with the phony. We got to keep it real, keep it 100. We've reached a point, sisters and brothers, where all of the diplomatic language and the Southern hospitality and whatever you want to call it have to go out the window, because our women are dying in these hospitals. Listen to what I'm telling you. We got a maternity mortality rate that is higher than some undeveloped countries. How is that? What the black women are dying in these operating rooms giving birth to our children. What's going on? There's a healthcare gap. 80% of all the people who go to Harris Health either have no healthcare insurance or on Medicaid. You don't really see what's going on, or you don't want to see what's going on. Have you noticed that all of the sports franchises or the sports seasons overlap one another? We're kept in a constant mode of sport and play. It's the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, with the beginning of the baseball season. Then by the time the World Series comes by, then it's the start of the football season. You get my drift? So we're constantly occupied with sport and play. Now that the Hollywood Screenwriters Association is going on strike, maybe we will turn the damn TV off and pick up a book and start writing ourselves. We've gotten to the point now, brothers and sisters, where if you don't open if we don't open up our eyes and see that men like Gerry Monroe are born for these hours, and when they get here, we always deny them, and then after they're gone, we want to name a park after them, an alley or something, want to hold a tribute, a candlelight, a balloon release, and all that. Come on, man. Come on. Why don't we give people flowers while they live? Now, as I understand, we're going to need to pass the hat to put our brother away. This is the fate of activists. I'm sorry. This has just been, in my 37 years of activism and advocacy in this city, that has been the case. I don't care who it is. In politics, it was a man named Zolly Scales. Man, he used to take these white judge candidates, man, to all the black churches and whatnot, man. They named a park after him, though. But I don't ever remember them giving him flowers while he lived. State Representative Ron Wilson. They primaried him because he played footsies with the Republicans, but Al Green would not have a congressional district. We wouldn't have two black representatives from the city of Houston, congressional representative, had he not paid that price. And now we're going after Harold Dutton because he didn't want constantly having black schools or these schools failing, and nobody wanted to do nothing about it. We keep electing these people to school board, and they wasn't doing nothing. That's why Monroe was born, to give them, as he called them, give them the business. You got a $2 billion system. Billions of dollars we put in, and we're graduating functional illiterates. We 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 marvel and cheer for the draft picks that the Texans got. Man, and they're gonna make millions. They may have rookie contracts, them two that we picked in the first round. But the endorsements they're gonna get from the car dealerships and the and the barbecue joints and whatever restaurant, whatever. Hey, they're gonna be all right if they as my man Beast Mode said, if they look after their chicken, they'll be all right. But we don't pay teachers doodly squat. I don't understand that. How in the world can you and I pay somebody millions of dollars to dribble a basketball, throw a football, knock somebody out, hit a baseball, but won't pay the people who educate our children a decent living wage? We are a society of perverse values, and this is what Monroe was talking about. Got people playing funny with the money, doing corrupt things. Corruption. He hated corruption. And he had the resources to uncover it. You know that, and I know that. So I don't want to talk too long, but I'm going to miss my brother. I'm going to miss him. But I'm not going to cry tears for him. If I cry, shed a tear, I'm shedding a tear for us who are left behind, who don't have the courage to stand up like he did. So my prayer is that the Travis McGee's and the Larry McKenzie's and the others who have always been also staunch education advocates and activists, man, step on up, brothers. I'm following your lead. I followed his lead in education. He knew that thing like the back of his hand. But I need the other brothers and sisters that are educational advocates to step on up. Regina Gardner, she's another one that's come up on the radar. She's hitting the trail. I need you all to jump out there. I will follow your lead in education. I hope you hear what I'm saying. This year is going to be very pivotal. This year, next year, going to be very pivotal in Tech City of Houston, Texas, and the United States. The spirit of Gerry Monroe, has to be one that all of us take in. And what I mean by that, brothers and sisters, whatever it is that you have knowledge of and are expert in, you need to step up for our people and follow the mold of the Gerry Monroe. You may not do it the way he did it, but listen what I'm saying. Be unapologetically black, but universal in the field that you believe you have expertise or have a passion for. Be unapologetically black, but have passion for a field that you believe you have expertise or do have expertise and experience in. Can you do that? Can you remain true to your people and true to who you are and what we've suffered all of this time, and then bring that and speak in a universal language so that everybody benefits, particularly our children, but everybody benefits? Can you do that? And if you do, then you'll be carrying the best of what Monroe represented forward. Let me close with this. In Islam, at our janazah, our funerals, we say a prayer, and one of the lines in the prayer goes like this: "Oh Allah, do not deprive us of his reward." Now, it always puzzled me. How could I or we who are left behind be deprived of the person who's in that casket or the remains that's in that casket's reward? How can we be deprived of that? Hey, he or she did what they did. They got whatever was coming to them. No, sister and brother, we are here on the struggle and sacrifice of those who went before us. What Gerry Monroe did was not for him. He did it, he paid it forward for generations yet unborn. If you and I stop thinking about I, me, and mine, and start thinking about us, our, and we, if we start thinking about a generation yet unborn, if we would be willing to make the sacrifice now for somebody that might even know that our names, that is your bid for immortality, sister and brother. That is your bid, not some pie in the sky after you die and you get chicken wings in your back and you and Gabriel or Michael at the gate is arguing whether you can come in or not. Man, get out of that slave thinking. If there is anything after we go, brother and sister, you're going to earn it by what you do here. Do nothing gets nothing. Do nothing gets nothing. I'm not here to debate when does life begin or what happens after we die or is there life after death. I ain't even here to debate religion. We'll debate religion when we get free. So I'm doing this one black man's opinion. You'll see me pop up once a week because I'm no longer on KPFT doing connected dots. After 20 years, it appears that I won't be on doing my radio show anymore. So you'll be hearing from me via this medium or another platform. One black man's opinion will be broadcast maybe on a weekly podcast. And we want to bring on guests and do things of that nature. But at this time, right as it is right now, I'm no longer on the radio on KPFT. And many of you hadn't inquired anyway, so you probably wasn't listening. You probably didn't even know I still had a show after they moved me around all them different hours and days. They just moved me around. Eventually, I lost my audience anyway. Do you know at the time when my show started, it was the second most downloaded podcast of all of the shows on KPFT? And then they decided they wanted my slot, and they did whatever they did. See, it doesn't matter whether you're conservative or liberal or moderate. If you're infected with the disease and the mentality of white supremacy, it doesn't matter. Because it always translates into liberal lies, moderate myths, and conservative cons. It's time that we get an unapologetically black agenda, be unapologetically black, but have enough sense in 2023 to be able to express freedom, justice, and equality in a universal language. We can do that, brothers and sisters. Self first, then others. Self first, then others. Lastly, Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. We've been too busy trying to love our neighbor before we learn to love each other. That's the problem. That's why our community looks like it does. We are not outnumbered, sister and brother. We're out organized. And some of us are just straight up cowards. It is as Minister Farrakhan said, courage looks like insanity to a coward. That's why Gerry Monroe looked crazy to some of you all, because most of us, we just don't have the testicular fortitude or the ovarian audacity to challenge this system or challenge ourselves. I say, long live the spirit of Gerry Monroe. May Allah be pleased with him And we ask Allah that He does not, oh Allah, do not deprive us of His reward, and do not cause us or make us to fall into despair after Him. So, brothers and sisters, if you want to keep your eyes and ears open, there'll be word coming out as to how you can help put our brother away. I don't want to jump the gun, but when that time comes, I want you to be ready, willing, and able to contribute. As I said before, I mentioned Zolly Scales. I mentioned, oh man, Ovi Duncantel. I didn't mention him. There's another one I'm thinking of off the top of my head, Esther King. All of them I'm telling you about in one way, shape, or form. Either we had to pass the hat to do something for them. I mean, sister and brother, GoFundMe is not life insurance, not burial insurance. It's not. You and I should have insurance policies on our children, and we should have insurance policies on ourselves to make sure we're buried and we leave some manner of wealth to our next generation. That's what life insurance is for. That's how the rich use insurance and pass on generational wealth, able to buy houses and education and all of that. I mean, that's my subject, but I wanted to say that to us because there are many lessons in the life and the death of our brother Gerry Monroe. So may Allah bless you, brothers and sisters. Once again, get out of the mode of I, me, and mine. Remember those words that I closed out, connect the dots with. They, them, and theirs can never overcome us, our, and we if we will only subordinate I, me, and mine. Get the truth, get organized, and get free. So until next time, may Allah bless you. May Allah comfort the family and friends of our brother Gerry Monroe, straight up OG. I love him to the bone. I don't care what none of y'all got to say. That was my, I don't use that word. That was my dog. That was my brother and my friend. And I'll tell the whole world, you know, some of us just ain't loyal. So once again, I'll close out. They, them, and theirs can never overcome us, our, and we if we would only subordinate I, me, and mine. Get the truth, get organized, and let's get free. So until next time, may Allah bless you. This is one black man's opinion. What's yours? I'm Brother Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. I greet you. Assalamu alaikum.